The history of the Petsch chain goes back, as far as I can trace, about 200 years. Petsch as a family, coming from all sides. And the Petsch entering in the gemstone business was that one of the relatives who lived in a little village emigrated to Brazil, to Soledade, where already was exploitation of agates, and sent the agates over here to one of his relatives, a Petsch, to sell them in the market. So we started selling agates around, let's say, 1880 only, and in 1901 they founded this company, Julius Petsch, and then this company then explored the markets in agates and later on, of course, in better stones. In 1965 I left the agates already, and I made aquamarine, tourmaline, emeralds and all these things, justice for the history. And my grandfather, Julius Petsch, started the company already in 1901, and we are known under Julius Petsch. I have to say something about the name. In our family, the name Julius is tradition. My grandfather was the Julius Petsch, my father was Gustav Julius Petsch, I am Eckehard Julius Petsch, Thomas is Thomas Julius Petsch, and my great-grandson, Karl, is Karl Julius Petsch. And there was one thing, when I came to Brazil first time in '61 about the name, my first name, they called me Eckehard. Ask a Latino to speak Eckehard. You speak impossible. So I changed in Brazil. I am baptized. Eckehard Julius Petsch said, no, call me Julius. Then Julius Petsch Company, which existed, of course, and Julius Petsch, that was me, and I did not lie. So whenever you look in internet everywhere and you look after Julius Petsch, you see me. And when he said, Eckehard, was this your father? And you know why everybody calls me Eckehard? Because of, you remember in ICA, the first secretary, Barbara. Barbara saw my name and she started publishing in the ICA my other name, Eckehard Petsch. And then came a big confusion. Who's Eckehard? Your brother. It's the same. In the world, I'm known under Julius Petsch. If you go to India, you ask for Julius Petsch, they know. If you go to America, Julius Petsch, they know. If you ask, Bill Larson knows that I'm Eckehard Julius Petsch. If you ask anybody Julius Petsch, they know it's me, and the company is also Julius Petsch. Therefore, this little difference we have to make. I am in the trade known as Julius Petsch, as my grandfather, as my father, and Thomas is Thomas, but he is Thomas Julius Petsch. Julius is the brand name. And we are origin, our family, Petsch is not a German name. We are origin from the Bohemia area. I don't know from where, but the name Petsch, you find Petsches in Germany, but it's coming from there. And we are not in the clan of the Wills and the Becker because we never married into these families. We kept ourselves and married somewhere else, you see. My mother is a born Eisenschneider, and my grandmother was a Degenring and was the Count of Degener. You have a little bit blue blood here, you see. And we never married into the traditional old families here because of love, you know. The family was as a clan, and it was with strong relations to Brazil and here, and I was the one who opened up, let's say, the whole world in 1965. We had very good people here in the company. I was free. I speak, besides German, another 5 languages. So I was free, and I established our relations in Namibia, where I was mining amethyst and bloodfeld, and later on tourmalines in this Ujua mine. I was a partner. Then I went to Madagascar, where I was very successful with this one, and very successful with the big aquamarine. It's city-made you printing now. And I was at Madagascar, and then I went to Mozambique. I speak Portuguese. I went to Mozambique. I was a big customer of Alto Ligonia. I know very well. And still, we kept the relationship in Brazil, but then I went more, instead of Rio Grande do Sul, I visited my relatives and the agate a little bit. But I went then more to Minas Gerais, where I worked in the aquamarine, tourmaline, and the beginning of Carnaíba emeralds. And then, later in my life, I made, very late in my life, I made another company called consulting company. And this, my attorney, when I was in Brazil, founded the company for me and founded the company Eckehard Petsch Consulting. Can you imagine what a nonsense? But my consulting company is consulting to miners. I always joined with a geologist and with a mineralogist. We went to the mines and we made our essay if the mine will produce or will not produce, and I was responsible for the marketing, you can sell it or not. I gave many advices, Gemfield. You know, Gilbertson and me, we were sitting in Kirchweiler Brücke until midnight, and then the idea of Gemfield auctions was born here. From this head. I remember with Gemfield, I have later on been also advisor to Gemfield at the beginning of the prices. They had big production, but they did not know what was the emeralds. What was the price? I was advisor to them at the beginning. They trained their people very well, and that is normally when you are advisor, you train your own people and they continue. And I, for example, the last prospecting I made with my consulting company was in 76. Mr. Petsch was already 77, the big discoveries of the emeralds in Ethiopia. You know there are big discoveries in Ethiopia. And my little consulting company was there, and we gave them advice where to do, and they got out stones which I sold for $1 million the kilo, $1,000 a gram. And with my consulting, this was something like, I was already old. With that, I made a service in Madagascar, in Mozambique, in the Paraíba, down in Ethiopia, and so on. So I'm like a big bag full of fleas, you see, if you ask me. What did we do here for the industry? We were 90% of our doing traditional rough stone traders. We were in many mines, we were partners 5, 10, 25%, and we brought all the stones here. I had here 8 hammerers who were hammering the stones, and we were preparing the rough for the cutters here. And the cutters could buy from us very well prepared, classified, hammered amethyst and citrine as a standard. And then aquamarine, normally classified, and tourmaline. And emeralds, I was only working with my group in India. And we had 2 things. Every cutter here in Idar Oberstein was our customer. And on the other hand, we gave them credit. You see, they didn't have to come here and put the cash money on the table. We gave them credit without signing any paper, first 90 days. If one or the other young man could not pay after 90 days, he phoned us and said, can you give me another 60 or 90 days? We did. They never signed any paper. It was only done by hand and by talking. And I will tell you frankly, in all those years, to the honor of our people here, I never lost any cent because they were all honorable and paid their bills until to the end. So we financed also. We brought the rough here. We paid the rough. We classified. We prepared it for selling. And at the end, we sold it to the cutters here, and we sold it on credit. Minimum was 90 days, and sometimes was even until half a year without documents. That's number one. That was our main business first, and I stopped this business only being strong after Thomas went to Kirchweiler. And I became older. Thomas went to Kirchweiler when I was already 62. We cut also, that comes the second phase, in about 1985, we started a little cutting factory, only with 8 or 10 people, but we did not make competition to our customers who bought from us aquamarine, tourmaline, amethyst, citrine. We were cutting only cabochon in ruby, sapphire, and emerald, which we delivered to the industry, to manufacturers. Every year I had a conference with my manufacturers, and at that time there was a big fashion, almost 20 years in this cabochon, and we discussed with them, what do you need? What can we produce? Can we keep the price? And we guaranteed for the price and for the quality, always for 1 year. So we had very strong customers. They relied on us. And that was done here in my cutting factory with a very good man. Bank of America had a slogan, which I followed. The right man at the right place and your business will run. This I had here. I was not, let's say, the big, let's say, wise guy. I had very good cooperators in my company. Everybody made his department, and I could therefore dedicate myself more to our rough, which was money-wise was the biggest business. And the other things I was, of course, how you call it, checking everything. But they were doing it. And as my hobby on the side, I made also a mineral specimen, because when you are in the bush and buy stones, you always find things like that. So I kept always on the mineral shows here in Germany and showed this. That's the wonderful.